So let's get back to the point we had at hand, which was making these things switcheroo with each other once they reach the last point. So let's go back and look at what we were looking at before. I know you can see the length. Unity. I would say unity array. But let's see length. This is the one I'm looking for when I want to calculate what the last number in an array is. Well, that's well, sets the size of the array. No. There's got to be a way to calculate the last one. I know there is. It's just not a specifically C# script. Okay. So I think I know what I'm going to do. First I want to test to see what the length of the array is, which is pretty easy. Let's just test it in a way we can print it out to the console to see what it comes up with, because I don't remember if length is done like how an array is counted from 0 to 3, or 0 upwards, or if they actually just list a number. So we know there's going to be 3 in here, but let's see. So we're going to go print. We're going to go points dot length. So what that's going to do is it's going to print us out a number onto the console. That's going to be just telling us what the length of what our thing is. So let's see. Go to console, clear that. Let's give it a whirl. I got a lot of error messages currently here, but let's get past those. All right. Download. Waiting. Waiting. Take that away. The length is 3. Okay, so as I thought, the length it's setting is from 0, 1, 2, but it's counting that as 3, so it doesn't go to... Okay, so here's what we have to calculate. I wonder if I could just do this one, minus 1. I wonder if that'll be enough, because I want to get it to 2. Yeah, okay, cool. So that means that we are just able to find the length of whatever. Actually, I got one more test. I want to see if I can add a bunch of empty things in here. And see if it just fills the array with non-objects, or if it just doesn't count those into the array at all. Let's have a look. So it should show up as... Okay, so great. It's good to know. Okay. So basically, we have the ability to find where the end of the array is. So awesome. Let's go ahead and create another function called private array find. Oh, sorry. Void array find because it's not returning a value. Kind of. Anyway, so we're gonna go ahead. Let's go to, actually, I'm going to rename this. I'm going to do the same thing I was talking about before. We're just stressing over names. I'm going to go to destination switch. So dest switch. Got to make sure to rename that too because that's one's fine. Array find. So we're going to go. So what we're gonna do is essentially create another variable. So I'm gonna set this one private int array end. I'm gonna create an array end, and I'm gonna have these two compare itself. So I need to make sure this can update, so I want to have I want to make sure that it's going to be reflected in the update through this code. So I'm going to actually start this out by saying array end is equal to point num No. I was wrong when I said points.length -1. I already see one problem here. So I can find the end of the array. So this is going to be able to find the end of the array, and then what's going to happen is the moment it gets to the last object of the end of the array, this is basically going to be the same as point num. And I don't want to compare the two right away because what's going to happen is it's just going to forget the last point and just reroute. I don't know if this is good coding, but I'm actually almost tempted to just take the length because it's going to be over by 1. And then what's going to happen is point num is going to extend equals points.length. And then, okay, so Beverly, we're going to ask if, so here's what happens is when the player gets to the third point, the code then says, all right, go ahead and add 1 to points num, which is the value that points us to the next element in the array, but there is no fourth point, so basically just stands still because there's nowhere to go, and it ends there. So what I'm basically saying is, if we say since points.length counts the number of points in the array, which is 3, instead of 0, 1, 2. So technically it's number 2 in the array, but points num count, or when it says 2, it basically means it's pointed there, but then it goes to 3, and there is no 3, but the length registers as 3. So basically, I have the value of 3 from the point's length, essentially, because it's registered in that. So let's give this a shot. This might work. So if array and compared to point num, and so this is basically saying if this is true. So when you have that in array, then it's going to execute this code essentially. I'm just thinking because the next issue in this line is that I would have to still be counting backwards. A good piece of, so, I mean, if you're thinking about it, when you're moving around, we can have them loop through the whole array once again, or we can have them loop through only a certain section, which might also be nice. That might be something I'm going to look at down the line. But for right now, we're just going to find the array point and say this is the end, and then we're going to start counting down, essentially. So it's going to go from 4 to 3. So what we're going to actually have to do is do this in a couple of bools, essentially. So if array equals point num. Okay. So if that equals then essentially point num minus equals 1. Essentially just say we're going to go ahead and start counting down. Now, this on its own won't work because force is going to go 4, 3, and 2, and 1. So this is just the calculation. That's fine. We're going to go ahead and create another function then, because this is what's going to happen. And we're going to have to reference that function in here, because I want to separate this out. So another private void I mean, I could do it in here. Maybe not. Let's see if I can just add it all into here. So here's what we're going to do, because I have a plan. What we're going to do is set a public bool, which is a true or false switch essentially. And we're going to set it to array reverse. Array reverse. So if that's true, then we'll go array reverse equals true. We're going to set the beginning to array reverse equals false. Reason we're setting it to false because we don't want it to be reversing right off the bat. And then what we're basically saying is that true or false, are we at the end, and then we're going to have the array reverse. So right now this is just a button. It has no definition quite yet. So we're going to add one more thing here, which says array reverse Now, if I was just to leave it here, I could also say it's true. But honestly, if you just leave this here, it's gonna assume that you mean is it true? Like it is true. What you do in the case of if you wanted to say false, you just say that. This is sort of the shorthand version of what this is essentially. Okay, and we want to make sure that we put the opposite over there. That's true. Point and we're gonna say, because we then have to you know, switch it back if point num is less than 0, because it's going to go underneath 0 if we keep minusing, but 0 is the last, or technically the first piece of it's the first place inside of the array. False. Facile. Fantastic. Instead of just putting it directly in here, I'm just going to put it in here. So we're going to first go to array find. Yeah. So that you could just put it in the front essentially, but I'm just going to execute it within here. Okay. Well, let's see how this plays out. I'm going to go ahead and increase the speed as well. 20. Yeah. See, the problem is it went to 3. Let's go to 2. All right. Let me just double check. It was still registering it as 3, right? Oh, I took that code out. Okay. Could it be? Could it be? Maybe that's the problem. It shouldn't be. But then again, you just test everything to make sure. You could always be wrong about the thing that you work with. I'm pretty sure it shouldn't matter though, as long as it has some connection to the update. So right now we're sitting at 0. Now we're at 1. 3. Okay, so the array reverse isn't triggering, which means if array end equals, so that should be 3. Point num equals array reverse equals true. Let's go ahead and test out what array print array end. Let's test out, see what that says, and then print points length. Control C. Control V. Just to make sure these two things are comparing. So that's now we're testing to see if that is the problem. That maybe they're not registering with each other, or maybe the numbers aren't registering at all. Let's have a look. Front on. All right, fine. This one's going to be end. So what I'm basically doing here is adding in text so I can tell which one's which. Point plus that. Okay. All right. Let's try it this way because I can't tell which one's which. So point and end are both 3. Yeah. 360. Whoop. Yeah, so we have the reverse. And array reverse equals true. Okay. I'm willing to bet. Yes, okay, so what's happening here is it's the conditions to make this start happening is that it needs to be at the x and the y of whatever the point num is setting. So it's not actually minus it. It's getting to here. Actually, is it getting to there? Let me double check this. It should, by my calculations, be able to still trigger the array reverse and call that to be true, but it's not. It's not. It's not calling it to be true. Array find, array end equals point length. Array end, yeah, that's going to be 3. Points num is going to be 3 as well. And set this to an else if. What is stopping it? Welcome to programming. Oh, okay. It should at the very least, so it's not even running this part of the code. So array end being set to 3 essentially. The length of this essentially is just a calculated number. So essentially this is just saying it's set to 3. And if these two things equal 3, this should be set to true. At the start it's set to false. It should be set to true. No matter what happens. This is supposed to happen. Why is it not happening? Okay. Yeah. point num gets to 3. Right over here.
I found out that school is 3 hours. It's
my son. I'm really trying to work out what piece of this step I'm missing. And, you know, that's aggravating. It's definitely, like, it's getting to here, at the very least, because it's able to set the length. Otherwise it wouldn't, because it's firing from here. It's getting to this point. Detonation, it... Actually, I do want to have this only if, because I want that to run independently of this. I wonder if it has anything to do with whether or not it's on fixed update or update. That shouldn't be the case, but you know, it shouldn't also be failing. So, who knows? Okay. That's fine. Okay. 30. Okay, good. So it's not that. So I hit fixed update. If array n equals point num, which it will, which it does, and it has, it should fix this. Regardless of what this does, this should be fixed. Why is it not fixed? Why is it not fixed? Tell you what, let's test to see how far this code can actually go. 20. The first point. It won't let it. It won't let it turn false. Okay. Interesting. At the start. That shouldn't be affecting it, but who knows? Who knows? I can't set it to false at all. Or, no, I'm sorry, I can't set it to true at all. Okay. So I can set it to true before it actually reaches the first point. But I can't set it to true after that. I wonder why. Alright, well that's good. So I can start it at false. If array n equals point num, true, what could be stopping it from being set? You know what? I may have massively fucked up. I may actually be setting it within the code itself of this. Because remember what I said earlier is double quote or the double equals compares the two, whereas one equals sort of sets the value. I mean, I may automatically be switching that to null. So let's go ahead and try this. facile again. Oopsies. Okay. Okay. Let's give it a shot. I really should just set this to 20 for right now. It's fine. So I can set it now. 20. I still can't, huh? Oh. Fuck. Never mind. Cut the, That's the kind of mistake that destroys kingdoms. I wasn't even thinking about it. I was so confident. Okay. God damn it. Anyway. Okay. Let me reverse. And now we want to go to 2. Yeah. So. I mean, we could cheat. Control C. Oopsies. Control C. Control V. Alright. Let's give it a shot. It should work, though, as I have always said. As I have always said, let's go ahead and set it to 20. I'm also gonna go ahead and save my project. Alright. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Dun 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 dun. All right. Auto reverse equals false, and then we'll go ahead and yeah. Add one into there. Now this is sort of, with arrays especially, this is sort of a detrimental problem, is if you start referencing numbers outside of arrays, you could very well crash a program. Unity is fine with this, or this right now is fine with it because I'm just referencing the actual number counter that I have here. So it's not actually referencing directly into the array, but even so, it's not a perfect system. In any case, let's yeah, there you go. It is working. It's working. It's working. It's working. It's working. Duplicate. 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 So that's 1-4. I mean, obviously, this is a very impractical naming convention, but 6. Okay. characters, we're going to go with size 6. 4. 5. 6. So 4, 5. Oops. 6. And it should honestly still behave the same because we just automatically take the length. Splendiferous, splendiferous. Go, little gal, go. Go, little gal, go. Go, little gal, go. Go, 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 go. Now, all right, we have that working. So, here's what we're going to be doing now. We are going to add in things like making sure we can actually customize whatever character we want to. Maybe we don't want them to loop back through. Maybe we want them to go right back to the first position they were in instead of backtracking through all of them. So we're gonna add in a few more bools. Public bool. Which we name them? Lily Bool, looping. Okay. We'll call it looping. Public bool. Well, actually, this was supposed to be is looping. Is ooping. Looping. This we call it is backtracking. Is staying. So here's our. We're gonna make it so that we can select it to be looping, which means it reverses right back to it goes from the last one to the first one and just sort of loops around in a circle. We have is backtracking, which means it's doing essentially what we have now, and is staying, which means it doesn't cycle anymore at all. So we have array find. We're gonna rename this. So this all fits into the is backtracking. So we're gonna if is backtracking back, then XV. Fantastic. If is looping, then Ezra! Pardon me for that. That is my son, who is currently in timeout, using the vent system on our house to try to contact his brothers for help. He's 11. So I'm still thinking. I'm just wondering if you guys can hear that too. Okay, so this is going to be looping, which means it's essentially just going to go from the last one to the very first one. So we want to find if it's looping, if I don't want this many if. I mean, I may just switch this into a case essentially, or a switch state. It may have to be that way because unless I want to program a whole thing where I make sure that if one's activated, then the other won't be activated. It's fine. We'll work from here just as a baseline, and then we'll modify it. So if yeah, I mean, it's essentially this. So once again, if this is here, point num equals 0. And that's just gonna loop right back. And now and then if is staying, then I mean, I should just have code for this, but essentially it'll just, I just don't want it to, yeah. If it's staying, then oopsies. Then essentially we take the same code from before and say, you know, if we reach the end, I don't want it to be hanging on a number that's outside of the array. So we're going to go ahead and point num minus equals 1. So let's go ahead and check it out. Oh, one more thing I want to do is I don't want to see this anymore because I'm confident that it's working properly. Which again is one of those things where I wish I could still see if it was on and off. Even if it couldn't affect it within the inspector, I wish I could see it. Point num I don't want to see anymore either. For right now, I mean, it's fine. is looping, is backtracking. So let's go ahead and type is looping. We're going to see this girl loop. Now, the reason why she's got a slow start is because I just have the acceleration turned down. Yep. Just going to be looping through. Cool. I have no idea why she went up in the trees before. Do I have anything up there? No. I wonder what happened. Well, okay. So we're going to turn that off. Is backtracking. Okay. Let's see here. Go. She's going to backtrack. See, why is she going up there? She overshoots it. Oh, okay, so that's a product of the nav mesh. There's too much acceleration, so she's actually overshooting it, which is interesting. And I wonder why. I'll have to say it most likely is the acceleration. Alright, and then is staying. Fabulous. Fabulous. Now, let's go ahead and put something. Let's go ahead and put something for when we want to get to a specific point and maybe only loop through a few of them. So they'll walk into the town and say just walk around the town. At which point we'll gather up a few of the pieces of the array, and we'll just have them loop through those, essentially. So, let's go public bool is travel loop. Sure. Oopsies. Is travel loop. And then this one's going to be more complicated. So if is travel loop true, then here's what we're going to do. So we need to we need to be able to easily define which point at which they're going to be starting the loop and ending the loop, because again, if this code is going to be open-ended enough to be able to use with anything, I want to make sure that, you know, the player or whatever character can then continue off of that at some point once we deactivate the loop, which is going to be another part of the code. Now, I don't like all these if statements, but, you know, like I said, baseline. Make sure it all works. So we're going to have to define a couple more things. I'm gonna separate the bools, the ints. So this is gonna be public int, not indexer, public int start loop, public int end loop. Da 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 down bum ba dum bum ba doo boop boo 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 boo. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna want the player to define what these are going to be. So if point num, so what we're going to say is if the character reaches the end loop, oh, I'm sorry, if x b then basically point num is gonna be equal to start loop. Actually, maybe it's not as complicated. I just sort of figure it's complicated. Now we can end this by just unclicking it. So let's go ahead and do that. Here's what I'm going to do actually. Well, we're going to go travel loop. So let's go 3 to 5. Actually, let's go 2 to 4. Okay. So why I want to have this as well is because if I was to turn this off, let's keep doing that. Just going to start looping. What happens if I click all of them at once? So travel loop definitely breaks it. Okay, so these go in order of hierarchy essentially. So it'll check to see if this is it. So if this is true and it conflicts with any of these, then this will, be the first one. So if it says staying but backtracking, it's going to check backtracking first. Okay, so this definitely needs to be cleaned up. But for right now, we have all these pieces. So let's go ahead and play around with them. So point 1. Point 2. 0.3. Uh, 0.4. 0.5. And 0.6. Here's a fun thing that I'm thinking of right now. We could also add in a function to say how many times we want them to loop through until they leave the travel loop, essentially. So we're going to travel loop. We're going to go, we want, so the 0, 1, 2. F. So we go from 1 to 4. I'm going to go to 1 to 4. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So, let's see it happen. And she's making her way over the bridge. It's too much acceleration. Did I mess that up? I think I messed that up. Does that mean there's 6 elements? I guess so. Let's see what happens when they overshoot this. I am kind of curious. Will she go off the bridge? She shouldn't be able to. Or will she just bounce around? Nah, she'll bounce around. Okay. She's also avoiding the cows. Let's turn the acceleration down to 2. Is it Stripes? I think that's the movie that's from. Oh, we got little walkers. Oh, so cute. Oh, so cute. Aww. Oh, it's working. That's so adorable. All right. Well, we'll leave it over there. Awesome. All right. I'm gonna clean this up a bit. We'll work on that next time. Bye. Mwah.